Apps can do a lot of cool things. You could order dinner, gamble on your favorite team, and track your health. You could even get a mortgage. One click and you can be approved. I'm not sure by who or what country they're in. You deserve more from the mortgage industry. At AnyMac Home Mortgage, we believe in the need for live human interaction during a very complex process. The kind of service and guidance which an app simply can't provide. Our customers are more than credit scores and income documents. They're individuals and families who live in and strengthen our communities. Their story is our story, and that story begins in a home. Chris Sawyer is an expert on providing superior customer service and in meeting the mortgage needs of current and future homebuyers. With over 18 years of experience in the industry, Chris is able to help customers migrate through the home buying and home financing process by using his wealth of knowledge as a well-qualified mortgage professional. And best of all, Chris is located in Cromwell, Connecticut, where he has helped hundreds of clients in Connecticut, Massachusetts, and Rhode Island make their dreams of home ownership a reality. Visit chrissawyer.any-mac.com. Email him at csawyer@any-mac.com or give him a call, 860-878-8730.
Chris Sawyer, NMLS number 39345, corporate NMLS number 338923. AnyMac Home Mortgage is an equal housing lender. American Neighborhood Mortgage Acceptance Company, LLC. DBA AnyMac Home Mortgage. Lo-Fi Direct. Connecticut First Mortgage Correspondent. License lender. Broker number ML 338923. Massachusetts Mortgage Lender and Mortgage Broker License number MC 338923. Rhode Island License Lender. License number 201128110L. Call for additional details.
All righty, welcome to Sports Talk with R&J. I am Steve Risser, along here with Justin D'Onofrio, and we have made it. We have our matchup in the Super Bowl between the Eagles and the Chiefs, a rematch of a game 2 years ago that the Chiefs won 38-35. But we will be talking more about that next week. This week, we got to talk about we're going to recap what happened on Sunday, the conference championship games, and we'll start with the Chiefs. And the Chiefs advanced to their 5th Super Bowl in 6 years, beating the Bills 32-29. It was a great game. Great game. Both quarterbacks played really well. Both quarterbacks, I think, had a really good game. I think that both quarterbacks were good. But I think the difference in the game was, I think, some of the coaching moves by McDermott, not taking the points there. I thought he should have taken the points before the half. And at the end, one quarterback stepped up, and that was Mahomes. He had that big drive to give he led the Chiefs on that drive to get them a field goal. And when he got the ball back after the Bills didn't turn the ball over on downs, he was able to close out the game. And then one quarterback who played really well, he had the ball in his hands, and he didn't get the job done. Even though Dalton Kincaid probably should have caught that ball, he didn't get the job done. So the Chiefs get to their 5th Super Bowl in 6 years. Your thoughts on the AFC Championship game, Justin?
The championship game, it's a pretty good game. The Bills, like it's happened the last couple of years with them. They had their opportunities and they just did not make the big plays. Why Kansas City yet again does make the big plays, or the plays that they needed, and that kind of felt like the difference. You mentioned it. It's just an absolute coaching mismatch between Reed and McDermott, and it was good. But I thought Josh Allen played all right, and again, the Kincaid catch and the Bills too. Just there's some short yardage stuff they couldn't convert. 3rd down and even 4th down, and the Chiefs. Xavier Worthy made a difference in the game. So you had a pretty good game, and the Chiefs just yet again make the plays that they had to make. Why Buffalo just didn't, and they kind of just yet again just Bills just can't go over the hump.
Exactly. And we'll start with the Chiefs and why they won this game. Why the Chiefs are going to their 5th Super Bowl in 6 years. And for me, there's 2 things. Patrick Mahomes was great. He was really good all game long, and he utilized other guys outside of Travis Kelce. The Bills did a good job containing Travis Kelce, but Xavier Worthy, he had a touchdown reception. He ran for 2 touchdowns. Patrick Mahomes, we don't usually see him do that. He ran for 2 touchdowns. So even got Juju involved on one play. So Patrick Mahomes, he was great. And the other reason why, the defense stepped up and needed to on that. All right, I know the very controversial call on that 4th and 1. I know that was very controversial, but they did step up there on that 4th and 1. And then, but at the end of the game, Spags bringing that blitz on 4th and 5, and getting pressure on Josh Allen, and then the Bills turning the ball over on downs. The Chiefs defense made the stops when they had to in the 4th quarter. So 2 reasons for me: Mahomes was great, and the Chiefs defense, which has been really good all year, has been really good for the last 3 or 4 years, made the stop when they had to.
Yeah, for me, the two things were the defense stepped up at the end of the game. You know, and you know, they made the plays that they had to make. They stepped up that fourth down. Yeah, and the Chiefs they've been doing that for years and years now, and they just find a way to make it win those games. They've won now 17 straight games, or they've won 17 straight one possession games now. I don't.
That's crazy.
It's not. Yeah, at some point, it just they have to lose one of these, but they don't. And yeah, and then my second one was Xavier Worthy was awesome too. The 6 catches, 85 yards. They need somebody to step up because you mentioned it. They did a really nice job on the Bills did on Travis Kelce to keep him kind of contained in this game, but they needed one of those wide receivers to step up, and Xavier Worthy did in this game.
He definitely did. He definitely did. He definitely did for the Chiefs. Now we will go to the Bills side and why the Bills fell short again in the playoffs. Why is it for the pretty much for the sixth straight year the Bills have made the playoffs, and for the sixth straight year they've been unable to reach the Super Bowl. And I know Josh Allen was great all day, and I know he didn't get help from Dalton Kincaid, but balls in your hands to drive down and tie the game. You didn't do it. Allen played really well, but he could have done more. He could have led the drills on a drive to tie the game. So he played well, but he could have done more. And secondly, just like it's been a lot of times against Kansas City, we saw it 3 years ago in Kansas City, where with 13 seconds to go, the Bills defense couldn't make a stop. After the turnover on downs, the Bills defense could have stopped them. They could have held Casey to a field goal and gave Allen one more shot, but they didn't. And I think that's definitely another reason why they're not there. And lastly, and this is what people aren't talking about enough, I think McDermott. I think McDermott made mistakes in this game. I think Sean McDermott made mistakes in this game. I think his biggest mistake in the game was not taking the points before the half. Not taking the points, because they made the extra point and the Chiefs jumped off sides, but not taking the points before the half, I think, was his biggest mistake. Say he takes the points before the half. They score that next touchdown. He probably kicks the extra point again and goes up 24-21. They're up 24-21 instead of 22-21. And then when the Chiefs score, they're only up 28-24 instead of 29-22. And then the Bills score again. When the Bills score again, they're probably up 31-28. And so instead of it being 32-29, it's probably 31-31 with the ball in Josh Allen's hands. So because he didn't take the points there, it was pretty much a 6-point swing. It was pretty much a 6-point swing because it caused them to go for two again, and then the Chiefs, instead of kicking the extra point, they went for two. So I think McDermott not taking the points was crucial. I think it was crucial. The thing that no one's really talking about right now is McDermott not taking the points before the half. Justin, your reasons why the Bills are not going back and the Bills lose again in the postseason.
Yeah, you made a great point the last one there, because that was my number one point. They didn't take the points, and you go up by field goal 24-21, and things are a little bit different, and Kansas City maybe managed that game a little differently, and I don't get why he's chasing the points so early on in the game. There's a lot of football left. Your offense is good. I know you got down in the hole there, but I never think it's a good idea to chase points early in a football game, and it came back to bite them. So I think that was a great point by you. That was my big point too. I had my second one is they didn't give James Cook the ball enough. He only
that's a great one.
He didn't touch it.
He averaged 6.8 yards a carry. Where was he on that 4th and 1? Where was he on that 4th and 1?
I don't know, because they can't run a tush push. They have no idea how to run it correctly. Yeah. I don't get it. Yeah, he didn't touch the ball in the final drive, and he averaged over 6 yards a carry. I don't know why he only got 13 carries in the ball game. They need to use him more. That was another one. And and the last one too, was they kicked field goals, or because they settled for a couple field goals in that game where you needed 7 points and you got field goals. You against Kansas City, you cannot settle for field goals. You got to get 6 points, and they didn't, and that comes back to bite you against Kansas City, because you give Mahomes any chance to win a football game, he's going to go win it. You got to be able to put some cushion in front of your lead. They couldn't, because they even had a chance. They were up 29-20. 22-21, they had a chance there to go in and score and go kind of get yourself at least an 8-point lead, and they couldn't do it. You have to put Kansas City away when you can. They didn't. That's another reason why they lost the game.
Yeah. I mean, you can talk about the efficiency all you want in the 4th and 1, but ultimately, yeah, they didn't take advantage of opportunities, especially on on one of those drives too. That's where they could have went up by 8 points. They could have really put the pressure on Kansas City, but they missed. A lot of people thought they got the 4th and 1 or complaining about it, but still, where's James Cook? As I said earlier, where's in an earlier point, where's James Cook? And all this, not taking the points, not having James Cook on the field, it all comes back to the head coach Sean McDermott. And the big question is he the right guy? Is he the right guy to lead this team to a Super Bowl? Because he's been the coach for 8 years, and with a top 5 quarter, and Josh Allen has been a top 5 quarterback in this league for 4 or 5 of those years, and they've not gotten to the Super Bowl. And you could argue a big reason why they didn't get to the Super Bowl one of those years is because he didn't squib kick it with 13 seconds to go. The big question is Sean McDermott the right coach? And I'm still going to say yes. I'm still going to say yes. Even after 8 years of not getting to the Super Bowl, I'm still going to say yes. Because if you go back to the preseason, yes, I picked the Bills to win this division. But a lot of people were picking the Jets, the Dolphins to win this division. With the loss of Stephon Diggs, a lot of people picked the Jets and Dolphins to win this division. And the Bills really had a great year. The Bills had another great year. They went 14 and 3. They were 13 and 4. I mean, it should have been 14 and 3 because if they played their guys against the Patriots, they would have been 14 and 3. They went 13 and 4. They were the number 2 seed in the AFC. They won 2 playoff games. They got to the AFC title game. So I'm still going to say yes. I'm still going to say yes because in 7 of the 8 years he's been a head coach, he's gotten to the playoffs. He just hasn't been able to get the team to the Super Bowl. So I'm still going to say yes. After 8 years of not getting to the Super Bowl, I'm still going to say yes.
I'm going to say no because I think this is a case of you need another guy to get you to take the next step, and I don't think that McDermott's the guy. Yeah, go back to the 4th and 1 too. They pretty much hurried up to the line too. It was like, why don't you burn a little bit of clock here? Why don't you try to figure this out? I know if you challenge it, the spot's probably not going to get moved. I know in those situations it's pretty tough, and I don't think there was enough there to probably overturn it. But yeah, I just think he made a couple costly mistakes in this game. Now the only thing is who else out there is better? I guess you could maybe argue McCarthy, but because he does have a Super Bowl, but he's
another good, not
thing.
great. It's kind of the same thing.
Yeah.
It's kind of the same head coach you're getting there with McCarthy and McDermott, in my opinion.
Yeah. So I agree with you there. So that's the thing. Who could you get better than McDermott at this point? It's probably a question mark. So I get it, but I don't think he's the guy that's gonna get you a hump. I just think there's, maybe a little bit of Ryan Day where the Chiefs are in his McDermott's head, maybe because he just he's a big reason why they lost that game. And I don't know.
He does beat him in the regular. He does beat him in the regular season. What were you going to say?
I was going to say you had him at home last year, and last year's Kansas City team was arguably probably worse, and you couldn't get him. You couldn't get him at home.
Yeah.
Last year's the year. Now I don't know if he's ever going to beat the Chiefs with Mahomes out there in a playoff game. I just don't know if he will.
Yeah, I still think he's the guy. But if they keep falling short, I think they're going to have to make a change. And who knows? Who knows who that next? Who knows who he could be? He could be the coach at North Carolina right now. The coach at North Carolina can only be there 1 year, and he may slide in and take that job. Oh, that would be getting back at Kraft right there. If that happened, he would be definitely getting back at Kraft if that happened. But Chiefs go to the Super Bowl. Bills lose again in the conference championship game. So it was the same story pretty much. Bills beat them in the regular season. The Chiefs win in the playoffs. Pretty much the same story. Bills have beaten them the last 4 years in the regular season, but they just can't beat them in the playoffs. 0-4 against them in the postseason. But we move on to the NFC Championship game, and I thought this game was going to be competitive, and it was for maybe a quarter. It was maybe for a quarter and a half, but the turnovers did Washington in. Just too many turnovers. It started from the beginning. It started when, Zach Bond punched the ball out from De'Ami Brown. They could not stop the run at all. The Eagles ran for over 200 yards. Saquon set the tone early, with that rushing touchdown. He's just been, I hate to say it as a Giants fan, he's been absolutely amazing for this Eagles team. Might be the best. I mean, listen, I think it's the best running back season we've ever seen. Yes, you could argue Terrell Davis or Eric Dickerson, but that Rams team didn't go deep into the playoffs. And Terrell Davis, let's be honest, Mike Shanahan's run game scheme a lot of running backs had success. And so you could argue this is the greatest running. I think you could say this is the greatest season a running back's ever had from Saquon Barkley. He's had a great year. But for the game, I mean, they were able to run. The Eagles were able to run the ball. I mean, there were moments where the Commanders were in the game. I think there were some moments. Jay Daniels, I didn't think he played a bad game. I thought he actually, them losing by 32 points, I actually thought he played pretty well. But I think the biggest play in this game was that 4th and 5. The Commanders brought the double A gap blitz with Bobby Wagner and Frankie Louvu, and Jalen Hurts hit A.J. Brown down the sidelines. He hit A.J. Brown down the sidelines, and that led to a touchdown. And then you had the fumble on the kick return. They went up 2 scores. And then the Commanders did cut it to 11. It was an 11-point game when then they had the ball in the 4th quarter, but then another fumble. Zach Bond again forcing another fumble from Austin Eckler, and the Eagles pretty much put the game away after that. So the Eagles, go to the Super Bowl, best roster in football. They really don't have a weakness on this roster. And the Commanders, great year, but they still got work to do in the offseason if they want to get to the Eagles level.
Yeah. With the Eagles, they're phenomenal. I would argue the one weakness probably has the kicker spot with Elliott. I know he was fine on Sunday. That's probably the one weak spot that they have. And hey, game against Kansas City, that could come into effect. You miss an extra point or two or a field goal. But yeah, no, I agree. They had the best overall roster in the sport. Hurts was awesome. I thought he looked a lot healthier. And yeah, Barkley was outstanding and ran all over Washington. They couldn't do much. And the 4 turnovers. When you go on the road to Philly and you're kind of the underdog and Washington spot, of course, you turn the ball over 4 times, you're going to be asking for trouble. And their defense struggled. But yeah, I was impressed with Jaden Daniels in that game. And they had to throw 48 times too, and they were never going to win that game having to throw that many attempts. So yeah, it kind of felt early on like Washington get enough stops in this game to be able to win the football game. And you turn over the ball 4 times, it's pretty tough to beat anyone. So it's definitely a good start for Washington. And we've seen it. It's tough to get back to the spot. Like the Lions this year, everybody thought was going to be finally end the Super Bowl drought, and they even couldn't get it to the NFC Championship game this year. So it's tough to get back there, but it's a good kind of step forward for the Washington franchise this year.
It definitely is, and we're gonna take a comment from Hector, and it's about Josh Allen. I believe it took Peyton Manning 9 years before he got to it. It did take Peyton Manning 9 years before he got to his first Super Bowl. So Josh Allen is still in my Josh Allen is still in my book eventually going to win a Super Bowl, and I think he could. I think Josh Allen definitely could win a Super Bowl. I think he's got the talent to do it. I think he could very easily can. I mean, he's been close a bunch of times, so it's a good example by Hector, the Peyton Manning comparison with Josh Allen
there. Yeah, absolutely. Because Josh Allen's good enough to get there. They just got to go over the Kansas City hump, and maybe one day he'll be able to do it. Because yeah, he's definitely good enough to win a Super Bowl. He's got a ton of talent, and one of these years, I think he's good enough, and they got a solid team around him. So, yeah, one of these years, he's been knocking the door. He'll finally break through.
Yeah, I think so. So back to the Eagles and Commanders, and we'll talk about why the Eagles are going to their second Super Bowl in 3 years. And the first reason why is Saquon was just been phenomenal. And as I said, it's the best running back season I've ever seen. I mean, I hate to say it as a Giants fan, but it's the best season. This is the best season I've seen a running back have. He's just been absolutely phenomenal for this team. I mean, he was the biggest reason. Usually it's the quarterback. He was the biggest reason why the Eagles beat the Rams. He was the biggest reason, not Jalen Hurts. It was him. He was the biggest reason why they beat the Rams. So Saquon Barkley continued to be amazing. And then number 2, I'm going to go to Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts this is the best Jalen Hurts has looked since his concussion. He looked great. That throw down the sideline to A.J. Brown, that was a huge play, and that was a great throw. He had that touchdown pass to A.J. Brown too. I mean, Jalen Hurts looked really, really good. So I think it was Barkley and it was Hurts looking that good. And I think those were the biggest reasons why the Eagles won this NFC Championship, and they're going to their second Super Bowl in 3 years.
Yeah, for me, the Barkley point. He was unbelievable yet again. He's been outstanding all year. Over 2,000 yards or whatever, and yeah, he had another huge game going for over 200 yards, and Washington just could not stop him in that game. And helped that Hurts looked healthy. And then my other point too is they capitalized off the turnovers. They got 28 points off those 4 turnovers, and they made Washington pay every time. So
that's a great point because them capitalizing off the turnovers.
Yeah,
because it wasn't like they would kick field goals; they got touchdowns off all those turnovers.
Yeah, Yeah, and they were able to kind of pull away by those. So yeah, they did a nice job of capitalizing off of those, and yeah, made a huge difference in the game. So yeah, Barkley and just capitalized off turnovers are two of the huge points for me of why Philly won the football game.
Exactly, exactly. And now we'll go to why the Commanders' season ended, why their dream season ended in the NFC Championship game. And number one, you said it, turnovers, turnovers. They just couldn't. They had 4 turnovers, and they were just so. 3 of them were so critical too. The fumble in the first quarter, the fumble on the kick return, and then when they were trying to get back into the game, they were trying to make a comeback. Austin Eckler's fumble. Those 3 the last one, they were going to lose the game anyways. Daniel's pick, they were going to lose the game anyways. But yeah, the 3 turnovers, the 3 turnovers were just so crucial. The 4 turnovers were so crucial, and that's one of the that's my biggest reason why they lost the game. And then number 2, they couldn't stop the run. And like all year, their Achilles heel all year was they could not stop the run. They could not stop the run. That was their Achilles heel all year, and it showed up in that game. It showed up in that game, and it shows you too. Number 2, why Ben Johnson, his last game in Detroit was not his best because he was not running the ball enough against the Commanders. But yeah, they couldn't stop the run, and the Eagles ran for over 200 yards. So and then lastly, the injuries caught up to them. Just I think the Cosme, the injury to their best offensive lineman, especially on that drive when they forced the punt from the Eagles and they got the ball at 27-15. It pretty much ended in a sack. So that cost them. And then not having Daron Payne, one of their better defensive players, they didn't have him. I think the injuries caught up to them too. So the injuries catching up, the turnovers, and then not being able to stop Barkley, I think are the 3 biggest reasons for me why the Commanders' season ended in the NFC Championship game.
To turnover point, because I had that one as well. Yeah, it cost them, and yeah, you mentioned 3 of them in critical spots there, and they really kind of once you're trying to flip the game back on, give themselves some momentum. Um, they hurt themselves, and it was definitely a huge difference in the game. Yeah, my second one too was they had 17 third downs in the game. I think they only converted like 6 of them. Like they just weren't good enough either. I felt like on first and second down, and they're kind of putting themselves in some bad spots. So,
And the reason for that was they couldn't run the ball. That was another reason
yeah.
they had trouble. Like they did in every match against the Eagles, they had trouble running the football, and their protection wasn't that good either, especially with their best offensive line.
Yeah, because I like to I think you meant a good point because that was my third one there about they just couldn't run the football because they did a really nice job against Detroit and Brian Rhymes had a really good game and Philly held him at 3.3 yards to carry. He went 36 yards, I believe, on the day. So yeah, they just couldn't run the ball, and it goes to that back to third down point. They put themselves in bad spots in this one, and they got behind early too, and just weren't able to run the football in the game as well. So yeah, I thought too that their ability not to run the football or just not being good enough from the first second down there kind of hurt them as well. With the turnovers.
It definitely did. It definitely did. But the Commander season is over. But we probably saw the greatest rookie season that we've ever seen from Jaden Daniels. Jaden Daniels was phenomenal this year. He was great. I mean, 5 come from behind wins. It's all started against the Giants. He had that come from behind win against. He had that come from the Giants. He had that crazy there against the Bears. You saw that come from behind winning against the Eagles, the game-winning drive against the Bucks, the game he had against the Lions in the playoffs. Jaden Daniels had a phenomenal rookie season. And the big question is the greatest rookie season you've ever seen. And I'm going to say yes, because, 6 other – we've seen other rookie quarterbacks who got their teams in this spot. They were more passengers on the bus. Mark Sanchez, he was definitely a passenger on the bus. Big Ben, yeah, he went 15-1. But it was more about that running game and that defense that he went 15-1. This was Jaden Daniels carrying a average to above average roster to a conference championship game. And I'm telling you something, as a Giants fan, I'm definitely not looking forward to facing this guy, twice a year for the next decade because the Commanders are only going to get better. They got the 3rd most cap space of any team in the league, and they got to the NFC title game this year. So Jaden Daniels, I think the best rookie season I've ever seen, and Commanders with all this cap space, they are going to be a Super Bowl contender for the next decade.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. Daniels was outstanding this year. He really can just change that whole franchise around and the outlook of the franchise, and them now. Washington looks like firmly second place, or going to be right there with the Eagles for second in the NFC East division now, which you have not been able to say that for quite a while here, and I know RG3 had a nice rookie year, but again, the injuries kind of derailed RG3's career. So, yeah, for Daniels and Cliff Kingsbury sounds like he's turning down the Saints job, so he's going to be
Yeah.
back as the OC. And I think his offense fits perfectly with Jaden Daniels. And Daniels played a ton of college football. I think 4 or 5 years he was a starter, and I think that's helped him as well here because he came in and they traded Dotson too, like right before the season. It kind of felt like it kind of felt like it was a team that would probably win like 6 games, and obviously they overachieved greatly this year. And look, I kind of said a few minutes ago, it's tough to get back to this point, the NFC Championship game. Like I mentioned the Lions, like it is tough, but the future is definitely bright in Washington for the first time, probably in quite a long time. So it's great for that franchise. And Janie Daniels did an outstanding job with this franchise and its offense this year, really turning it around.
Yeah, I mean, the future is the brightest. I think it's been since the first, not the second time Joe Gibbs coached, but the first time Joe Gibbs coached, the late '90s. The late '80s to the early '90s. So yeah, the future is definitely bright, definitely bright in Washington. And Jaden Daniels is going to be a great player in this league for years to come. But now moving onto an NFC's team where the future is not bright in, and it's not the Giants. It is the Dallas Cowboys. And on Friday, when you hire a coach on Friday night, you're just hiding it from everybody. You don't want anybody to know you're hiring Brian Schottenheimer. And the Cowboys, most coordinators you get hired, it's a guessing game because you don't know. But usually teams want that coordinator, like a Ben Johnson or an Aaron Glenn or a Liam Cohen. Teams want, or even Kellen Moore. Teams want that guy. Not one team wanted to interview Brian Schottenheimer. Only the Dallas Cowboys. And the Dallas Cowboys make him as their head coach. And when you're competing in a division with the Commanders and you're competing in the division with the Eagles and the Commanders, this is a very, very uninspiring hire, and a hire that is really, really going to anger your fan base. And it definitely angered Cowboy fans. I'm telling you, I don't think anybody liked this hire. And no offense to Brian Schottenheimer. I mean, I think he's a good guy, but he's failed as an offensive coordinator. He's been fired as an offensive coordinator 3 times. He's been fired as an OC. I think at Georgia, the Jets, the Seahawks. Been fired as an offensive coordinator 3 times. And this is the head coach they hire to replace a Super Bowl winning coach. I'm saying Mike McCarthy was great, but he did win a Super Bowl. This is the guy they replaced, a guy who was on the staff the last few years and didn't even call the plays. So, I mean, to me, this hire is about Jerry Jones. It's about Jerry Jones just wanting a puppet there, not valuing, winning championships, wanting to have total control of everything. And I just see the Cowboys in the next 2 to 3 years living in third place, especially with this coaching hire.
Yeah, this was a Jerry Jones hire right here. 10 o'clock on a Friday night when all the writers are gone, all the reporters gone home for the weekend. And I listened to some of the press conference with Brian Schottenheimer sitting right next to him. Jerry Jones says it's the biggest risk he's ever taken too.
Why do you admit it's a risk? You should have full confidence in the guy you're hiring. Why do you admit it's a risk?
I don't know. Jerry just likes to hear himself speak. That's his problem. And it's a mess.
Yeah.
Again, his other candidates were Deion Sanders, which I guess maybe he does want to say at Colorado. I guess who else did they go at? Like, who else did they really interview?
Kellen Moore, Roberts. They wanted Kellen Moore, Robert Saleh. I'm
yeah.
surprised they didn't go after Pete Carroll. I'm surprised they didn't go after Pete Carroll, a Super Bowl winning coach. He's much better than this hire.
Yeah, he would have. It doesn't make any sense. Yeah, he didn't call the plays. Is he really going to be a leader in that locker room? I highly doubt it. So good luck to him. This is kind of on Jerry here. And yeah, this is going to be a disaster. And, I don't know, maybe the Giants could be competent and they do hire somebody well next year. Maybe you pass the Cowboys for a couple years in third place. So
we'll see. They're not past them
see.
yet. I don't care about this hire.
No,
they're not. The Cowboys are still clearly a better team than them. But the thing is the Commanders and Eagles are clearly better than the Cowboys now. The Commanders have completely surpassed the Cowboys in the NFC East. And but speaking of Jerry Jones, I mean, the question is having full control more important to Jerry Jones than winning a Super Bowl? And that's an obvious question. It is. And that's the problem. The main goal for Jerry Jones is not to win the Super Bowl. And he's not the dumbest football guy ever. They draft good players in the first and second round. He played college football at Arkansas with Jimmy Johnson. He's not the dumbest. He's not the dumbest football guy. He's probably one of the, in terms of knowing the game of football, he's probably one of the smarter owners. But the problem with Jerry Jones is it's hiring coaches, and you've seen the South, what he did with CD Lamb and Dak this year. He wasn't able to get free agents because he waited till the last minute to sign CD Lamb and Dak. It's just, and then McCarthy at the end of the year, he could have just fired McCarthy the day after the season, but he waited a week, and this is why he winds up with, he doesn't wind up with the best candidate. So I think, yes, having total control, having the attention is more important to Jerry Jones than winning a Super Bowl, and it's been that way for years. It's been that way for years, and that's why I'm telling you, until he steps down, not only now with the Commanders being good, are they not going to win a Super Bowl? They're not even going to play in a conference championship game. It's been 29 years since this organization has played in a conference championship game. And it's not going to happen anytime soon because there's two teams in the division. You got one that's playing in the Super Bowl. The other is playing in the conference championship game. Yes, there's the Giants in the division they could beat up on twice a year. But that's pretty much the only thing they're going to be able to do well in the next, I could see in the next 2 to 3 years. This is all about Jerry Jones wanting the attention, wanting the control. And it's not about winning championships, and it's sad. It's sad for Dallas Cowboy fans that they're at this point.
Yeah, and you mentioned the NFC Championship game. They now have the longest drought in the NFC of reaching the conference title game.
They have the longest drought. You think, and then of course in the press conference, Stephen Jones says, the so-called drought. It is a drought. they don't get. It's amazing how that organization just like the Giants, let's say I root for an organization that doesn't get it either. You've been rooting for an organization who has had trouble the last 4 to 5 years. But this organization just doesn't get it at all. They don't get it at all.
No, that is bad. I cannot imagine Cowboys fans were very pleased with hearing that. It's just like it's like a joke now. It's like a joke that It is. This is the Dallas Cowboys. Supposed to be one of the best franchises in all, in the NFL and the most valuable one. And it's a total train wreck. And they want the control. Jerry, again, I think he's the only owner that goes on weekly radio shows, does his own press conference after the game. That's the issues.
Let me tell you, if Micah Parsons doesn't want to sign there, I can't blame him because of what's going on right now. If they run Micah Parsons out of here, it's clearly more about the Cowboys than it would be about Micah Parsons.
Oh yeah, it absolutely would, and absolutely, because I don't blame him if he wants to get out because it's a circus down there. It's a complete and utter circus, and Jerry again, and when he steps down, it's gonna be Stephen Jones, and I don't think he's much better than his own dad is. So it's not getting better anytime soon, unfortunately, for Cowboys fans, and. Yeah, it's going to be a while. Now, being in third, it's going to be tougher to go 11-5 or 11-6 now every year.
I don't think they're winning more than 8 games next year. I don't see them. Now, they'll win. They won't be god-awful like 4-13 or 3-14 because they have a good quarterback. They have a top 10 quarterback in the league. If they re-sign Micah Parsons, they have one of the top edge rushers in the league. They have one of the top receivers in the league. So they'll be in the mix. They'll be competing for a playoff spot because it's tough not to compete for a playoff spot when you have a good quarterback. Receiver, so it's tough not to compete for a playoff spot. But they're not a Super Bowl contender. They're definitely not a Super Bowl contender, and they're definitely not as good as the man for the Eagles. They're not close to those two teams right now.
Yeah, no, they're not right now. And you mentioned a couple times this year that their cap space is not in a great spot either right now. With two, they have not handled the free agency well lately, and we'll see who they pick in the draft, but. Yeah, it's not going to get any better anytime soon for Dallas, and they're going to struggle here, or not struggle, but they're going to struggle to win the NFC East, and they're probably an 8-9 win team next year. Like, how much better could you get in free agency?
It's not going to because right now. They're not going to be able to sign free agents because they're probably going to give Micah that huge contract. So they're going to have to do, which they've done well in the past, is draft. They're going to have to draft really, really well. Now they've done that, but the problem now is they're going to have to draft really well, but the problem is, look at the head coach. You have a head coach with no experience and a head coach that nobody wanted playing in a division with 2 of the top teams in the NFC.
Yeah, it's a tough situation for Schottenheimer to walk in here because again he's a puppet and all that, but you're making it pretty hard for him to succeed and have success, and man, if he's again, I have no idea how good of a leader he is or if he can be, but he might lose that locker room pretty quickly.
I could see it. I could
Couldn't
see it
he?
happening. I could see it. I could see it. I could see
I
it
just
happening. Yeah, I could see
it's
it happening and them going like 6-11. You know, I could see him losing that locker room. I could see this being a one and done. I definitely could see this being a one and done because there's going to be they keep lose that locker room and there's going to be so much negative attention around the franchise where they're probably going to have to fire him. They go 5-12 or 6-11, they're probably going to have to fire him.
yeah. Is this another spot where Bill goes? Could it be?
Good luck. Good luck to Bill. Good luck to Bill because
Yeah,
if he thinks he's going to win with Jerry Jones, well, I still think even with Bill, I don't even think Bill could save the Cowboys right now.
yeah. Yeah. It'd be tough, but hey, if he really wants Shula's record, he'd
Yeah,
probably suck it up.
and just and
He
just
probably would.
and just finish in third place. Coach there for like 4 or 5 years and finish in third place every year.
Yeah. If he really wants to have record that badly, maybe he does
Yeah,
want to get one without Brady to solidify
yeah,
everything. But
yeah. But I don't
maybe
know if he's
maybe the
got it
record
there.
is a lot.
If he's
Yeah,
picking
that's
here, if he's picking here, this job or the Buffalo job, it's definitely the Buffalo job. If he wants to get one without Brady.
oh, absolutely. Yeah, that's the best shot he's gonna have. So yeah, we'll
Yeah.
see. Maybe it's another spot. So it wouldn't shock me if this is one and done.
Yeah, I wouldn't be shocked at all if it's one and done. It just proves to you Jerry wants the spotlight and the attention more than winning Super Bowls. But now talking about some of the other coaching hirings and the Raiders, they hired Pete Carroll, and I like this hire. I really do. You finally, Brady's starting to, he's starting. He definitely has his influence in this organization. You finally have a grown up in the room. You don't have a guessing game with a coordinator. You don't have a Josh McDaniels who failed in Denver. You bring him there. You don't have a Antonio Pierce. You don't have the guessing games are over. And I think I like that Pete Carroll's there. I think he's going to be good. Now the thing's going to be is he going to get the quarterback? And the offensive coordinator hire is going to be the most crucial hire here because Pete's a defensive coach. So the offensive coordinator hire is going to be crucial. But I do like this hire. I feel like for the first time in a while, the Raiders are back on the right track.
Yeah, it's just brother and my dad are both very happy with this hire. So
Yeah.
yeah. He's a guy that's won wherever he's gone pretty much. So
Yep.
and I think it's a good kind of good hire for the next like 2 to 3 years where maybe he gets the guy that is the next head coach on the staff, and he kind of grooms him to be the guy and take over a couple years because he's 72 or 73, Pete Carroll. So he's not gonna be around forever. He's gonna be around for a couple years here. But yeah, I think he's a guy that's gonna, they're gonna play hard for him. He's gonna try to change the culture in that locker room, which they really need. And we'll see what they do at quarterback. Could he maybe bring Russell Wilson with him? I think maybe that's a possibility. But yeah, I think it's a good hire for the Raiders. And yeah, first time in a while, they got a decent head coach in there to hopefully change some things around.
Exactly. And then lastly, we'll talk about the Jaguars hiring Liam Cohen. Interesting what happened too. They had to then he backed out of the job. Then they fired Trent, which they should have. Another thing, why was Trent Baalke even employed for 3 weeks? I mean, he should have been fired right after the season ended. I mean, he had to hire 2 head coaches, Urban Meyer and Doug Peterson, that failed. So why would you keep why would they keep Trent Baalke? And we saw all the nonsense that happened in San Francisco with him too. I mean, that guy, ever since he fired Jim Harbaugh, his career has fallen apart. So I don't know why Trent Baalke was on the staff, but after Baalke gets fired, Liam Cohen ends up taking the job. So, and again, you don't know here. It's an offensive coordinator. You don't know, but I thought Doug Peterson was going to be good in Jacksonville. He started off well, and it fell apart for him. So it's just going to be it's going to be tough in this organization. But you really just don't know. You don't. Yeah, I know the Duval thing with Liam Cohen, and they're making fun of him for that, but you really don't know. You really don't know with Liam Cohen right now.
Yeah, it's I know that wasn't a great look, but hey, Nick Sirianni had a pretty bad press conference, and
And look at him now.
it's turned it's turned out okay for him. So yeah, I know it's not great to lose a press conference, but it's not you can't come back from it. But yeah, I know Liam Cohen's a younger guy. 'Cause I think he was a quarterback at UMass when they won the national championship in 07, I believe. But he did a good job at Kentucky with Will Levis, and I was pretty impressed with him. But yeah, it seems like they're high on him. Again, Doug Peterson was supposed to be the guy to come fix Trevor Lawrence. He didn't. This roster's not in great shape. I don't know. This is what can be Trevor Lawrence's fourth coach or third or fourth coach here, which isn't great either. So we'll see. And now too, isn't he? Is he picking the GM? Is he in charge of that? Do you know?
I'm not sure if it's going to be Shad Khan or him. I'm not sure if it's going to be the owner or him, but I think he might be picking the GM.
Yeah, that's a tough spot to be a first-time head coach, and now you're in charge of picking the GM too. So,
Yeah.
yeah, it's kind of difficult down there in Jacksonville. So, it's we'll see. I know he's a mass guy, so be nice to see him try to turn Jags around. But it's just a tough organization to do. It really is. So, we'll see. Good luck to him, but it's not. It's gonna be a tough task.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see there. It's definitely a guessing game with Liam Cohen. If you take, I mean, if you really recap all these coaching hires, I think the one we all know is going to work. We all know has the best chance of working is Vrabel. Vrabel. I mean, he's done. He's had success. He knows the organization. He was hired first, so he's able to get the best assistants, which you've seen with Josh McDaniels, the OC. I think that's a good one. Carroll. I I think we think it's going to work, but you never know with the Raider ownership with Mark Davis. You never know there. The guessing games are Liam Cohen, Ben Johnson, and Aaron Glenn. I know Aaron Glenn looked impressive in the press conference, but as we've said, how much can you really take out of a press conference for a head coach? So those are the guessing games. And the one, and then we'll see. And Kellen Moore will probably be in the same boat if he gets. It looks like he's the favorite to get the Saints job. So when he gets hired by the Saints after the Super Bowl, I think he's in that same boat with those three other coaches. And then the one we talked about, the worst one, is definitely Brian Schottenheimer. Hired as one of the last coaches, doesn't have his pick, doesn't have the best pick of a staff, and again, as we said, just a complete puppet to Jerry Jones.
Yeah, it is. So yeah, Variable's gonna be good. Carroll, but yeah, all these other coordinators are. It's very yeah, it's a risk you're taking here, and we'll see. Some of them will work out, some of them won't, and yeah, we'll see how we'll see how it all kind of unfolds. But yeah, this is kind of the thing. It's a big guessing game when you decide to hire these coordinators. You have no idea if they could just scheme up plays or if they can be a good leader in that locker room.
Exactly. And luckily for your team, you got a guy that we know is a leader in the locker room. So your team, that's why I think that was the best hire of the offseason. But the Jimmy Butler saga is continuing in Miami. But before we talk about that, we are going to hear from our friends at JPEG Financial and Shamrock Home Inspections.
Do you have a 401k and some savings for future retirement, but don't even know if it's enough to live off of? How much is enough? How often are you thinking about it? The team at JPEX Financial Group can help set your mind at ease. We specialize in creating strategies in the planning and managing of your financial, educational, and investment needs. We help clients pursue their investment goals with sound financial strategies. You deserve a personal, tailored plan. Lasting, meaningful, and open relationships are the foundation of our practice. You've worked hard for your money and should feel confident in your investment choices as you make decisions for your financial future. Your goals are our goals. We are dedicated to your needs and hopes for your future. Visit our website and give us a call at 860-430-5397. Securities offered through Raymond James Financial Services, Inc., member FINRA, SIPC. Investment advisory services offered through Raymond James Financial Services Advisors, Inc. JPEX Financial Group, LLC is not a registered broker-dealer and is independent of Raymond James Financial Services. JPEX Financial Group is located at 78 Eastern Boulevard, Glastonbury, Connecticut. There's no bigger investment than home ownership. And to make sure the house is up to your standards, you need a professional to look it over. Brian Flanagan from Shamrock Home Inspections is a licensed home inspector and a member of the Connecticut Association of Home Inspectors. Brian was a contractor for over 15 years, so he knows how homes should be constructed and how mechanicals should work.
What makes me a good home inspector was the 20 years that I was a home improvement person, doing all the different repairs that I have done and what other people have done wrong that I had to go out and fix. So I have a pretty quick eye on seeing what's right and what's wrong. Before you move, call Shamrock Home Inspections.
Before you make the biggest investment of your life, call Brian Flanagan from Shamrock Home Inspections at 860-268-2566 or visit shamrockhomeinspectionct.com.
All righty, so Jimmy Butler suspended for the third time this month by the Miami Heat. He was suspended earlier in the month for 7 games. Then he was suspended for 2 games for 7 games for conduct detrimental to the team, 2 games for missing a team plane, and now he's been suspended indefinitely by the Miami Heat. So we all know this thing's going to be over by this thing should be over by Thursday. They're going to trade Jimmy Butler. But the biggest question is who's more at fault here? And I'm going to say for this divorce, and I'm going to say the Heat. The Heat are at fault. This Heat culture thing, they're falling way too in love with their culture. Kind of like the Patriots. at the end of the Tom Brady years. I mean, I know they haven't had the success the Patriots have, but it's kind of like the Patriots at the end of the Tom Brady years. They've fallen in love with their culture, and really, they've really gotten one big free agent to come, and that's been LeBron James. And really been outside of the LeBron's 2 championships. Really, since Pat Riley's been here in 30 years, if you taking away without LeBron's championship, they would have one title. They would have one title. It must be in 2006. So this Heat culture thing, to me, is the Heat are just falling in love with their culture. They're falling in love with their culture. Really, since Butler, who was your best player on 2 teams that got to the NBA Finals, you never got him a player that has been better than him. You never got him another star to play with in the 5 years that he's been there. So. And now he's upset, and rightfully so. He's upset. He's upset. He's rightfully so. He's on a team that I hate to say is a team that their ceiling is maybe the second round of the playoffs. So, I don't blame Jimmy Butler for being as upset as he is, and I think that I think the Heat are definitely more at fault for what's happening right now in this situation, especially what they did this week. Starting Highsmith over him. Come on now. I think the Heat, and I think he had a right to walk out. If you're going to start Highsmith over me, come on, let's stop doing this. I think the Heat are more at fault than Jimmy Butler.
Blaming Jimmy Butler because he acts this way every time he gets out of town. Like at some point, it's you and not the organization, and Jimmy needs to realize that, and he hasn't. And how miserable can you be playing in Miami? Seriously, it's Miami. You can't be that miserable.
Yeah, but Pat Riley runs this team. He runs the team and the way Pat Riley is, the way they run the team. He's not. Jimmy Butler is not. I know Jimmy Butler's not a top star in the league, but he's not treated like other stars get treated throughout the league. But this is a stars league. This is not an organization. Organizations don't win championships in this league. Superstars win championships. When was only twice in 45 years since 1980 in the NBA where a team hasn't had a top 10 player and won a championship. So I know Butler, he's done this before. Yes, he's done it before, but the Heat need to learn to keep guys happy. LeBron left them. D Wade, he came back, but he left them. Guys have left the Heat. Alonzo Mourning back in the day, he left them too. So guys have left the Miami. Players have left the Heat. They've left Pat Riley. And look at LeBron since he left Pat Riley, he won 2 championships. So, and the reason why Pat Riley won his last 2 championships is because LeBron James chose to come there. So, yeah, I put it more in the Heat. I put it more in the organization. I know Jimmy Butler has issues, wanting out of places. He did this in Minnesota, but I put this more in the Heat.
I put it on Butler because I get it that the last couple of years they've been kind of like a 41 win team, and but like I know Bam's been pretty good. You have Tyler Hero, it's a good shooter. Like I know it's on a great core, and yeah, maybe they could have done a bit more for him, but like he's not helping the team by acting this way. Like it doesn't help. Like yeah, they're probably starting Hightower to teach him a lot, like just because they know they're probably not getting the best out of him. Again, if I ran a team and if he wants out this badly, I just make him sit on the bench till his contract's up, and then he can go somewhere else. That's what I would do. I get it's a players league, but you can't let players walk all over your organization because I don't think that totally works. But I do think they should have some input and in some of the bigger decisions. But I don't think they should have total control. But it's just Miami. He always acts this way at the end of his times at a place. Like I'm so tired of it. And like I know we're about to get the Fox and my Kings. I know Miami might be a target. I want no part of Jimmy Butler and the Kings because I know he's just going to want his way out after 2 weeks, and I don't want to deal with that. I want him nowhere near this organization. I want to keep him out. I think he's a nice player. He's a good player. He plays well in the playoffs, but like he just acts like a baby wherever he goes. And I just put it more on him because it's Miami. I like Pat Riley. I like the way he runs his organizations. I wish I was a Heat fan. I did love Shaq growing up. In his time in Miami, that was my favorite player to watch in the NBA growing up, for a while. But so I've always liked their organization. I like Spoelstra. He's one of the best coaches out there. I put it more on Jimmy Butler. I think you can't act like this every stop you go. It's acting like a baby.
Yeah, but here's the thing. This has been a players' league, especially for the last 15 years. Kevin Garnett wanted out of Minnesota. Celtics win a championship. LeBron James, he left Cleveland, won 2 championships in Miami. Then, he comes back. He goes back to Cleveland, wins a championship. I mean, Kevin Durant, I know he joined Steph Curry's team, but he left Oklahoma City, won 2 championships in Golden State. Kawhi Leonard, leaves wants to be traded from San Antonio, wins a championship with the Raptors. Anthony Davis wants out of New Orleans, wins a championship with the Lakers. It's just been, I know recently, it hasn't been as much of that because with the Bucks and with the Nuggets and with the Bucks, the Nuggets, the Warriors, it's been more because of the new CBA. It's been more about the organizations, but Pat Riley needs to realize you got to make players happy, and players have walked away, like LeBron. He's walked away. Players have walked away from Pat Riley, and it's came back to hurt Pat Riley because in between Pat Riley and Jimmy Butler, in between LeBron James and Jimmy Butler, how many playoff series did he win in that time? 1 in 5 years.
Yeah, I know that's not great. I still like Spoelstra. Again, he could definitely do more, Pat Riley. He could. I don't know what their cap situation is at this moment, but yeah, you could probably add a couple more guys around Bam and Tyler Hero and make that team a little bit better. They usually do a really good job developing. Like Jaime Hawk has been a nice player for them. Like they usually do a good job of identifying guys in the draft usually. But I get it's a players' league. I just don't think it's smart to let the players walk all over you. And Pat Riley sticks to his guns and doesn't let that happen. I do respect that. I do. I get it. Could get him in trouble, like in these situations. But like Jimmy Butler always does this. Like he was going to do this anywhere he goes. Like he's not going to be happy at the end of his tenure wherever he goes. So to me, I'm kind of tired of it. I don't like when players just. I'm so happy Fox hasn't done this yet. Because I respect it. Like I liked how Lillard didn't cry his way out of Portland. And he goes the minute, and he now with Milwaukee. Like I like when players don't act like an absolute drama queen and just force their way out of town because it's ridiculous. I that's what I can't stand about the NBA. So again, if I was running it, I'd make him sit on the bench and make him unhappy until his contract's up and he can go wherever he wants.
Yeah, I just think you should show a little bit more respect to a player that's pretty much the reason why you got to the last 2 NBA finals in Jimmy Butler. I just think your playoff Jimmy was really good. I think you should show more respect. But speaking of De'Aaron Fox, and we'll talk about your Kings now. The Kings right now are looking to trade De'Aaron Fox, which, I'll let you talk about it first because you're a Kings fan. But personally for me, I don't get why they're trying to trade their best player.
Yeah, I hate it. I was hoping it was going away, but they burnt way too many bridges with him. Like, again, Mike Brown, they fired him. So we got an extension last offseason. The guy who was keen on giving him that extension was De'Aaron Fox. He went to bat for him. And Mike Brown didn't even reach his extension doesn't even start the next year. So, and they already fired him, which is Sacramento like. But that was the only. He had no input on whether he wanted Mike Brown back or not, or wanted fired or not. He also, which he has zero input. And I get with him, like they've just, like everything that's happened in this organization, he's had no input on. Like he doesn't like that. He wants to stability at the coaching spot. He loved Mike Brown. He loved that Mike Brown would call him out, in front of the locker room or in front of the press conference. He didn't mind that. He liked how Mike Brown kind of pushed him. And again, the organization has not backed them up after they fired him. Monty McNair, their GM, who's a clown, and their assistant GM, who's another clown, haven't said one word since they fired Mike Brown. They let De'Aaron Fox take all the heat for this. And it's ridiculous because Mike Brown, like Mike, Fox and Mike Brown had a really good relationship. And there was something that came out after he got fired, and they put all the blame on the players, which I think the owner 100% fired Mike Brown because when we get to this trade part, Monty McNair cannot go through another rebuild. So he knows that he needs Fox in the future or he's getting fired because he's not getting another rebuild. So that's why I know he wanted Mike. I know that's why he didn't fire. So I know I have to imagine he did not fire Mike Brown. That was not his call. But Fox had no input on that. If you want Fox to stick around, maybe you should ask him his input a little bit. They've just done him dirty, and I don't blame him. He's their best homegrown talent that they've had in Sacramento, and they don't treat him like that. They just, and I know what I said about Butler, and I don't think he should run the organization, but I do think he should have some input because he's been loyal to you. He could have walked away 5 years ago from you guys. He didn't. He wanted to come and win here. He wanted to come try to build a winner here. But again, I think he's in his mind, he knows there's no chance that's happening because the guy up top is a look at me, and I think I'm the biggest genius in the room. And he's not. He's the dumbest guy out there. He ran this organization while Vladdy was there, and Vladdy took all the heat for it. He lets his guys all take the heat for it. It's never on the owner. It's always on everybody else, and that's why. And Mike Malone destroyed the organization when they fired Mike Brown. Steve Kerr did. That was another reason why the organization tried to blame the players, because they were getting heat everywhere else because that owner was taking heat for it, and he got him off their back a little bit. So I don't blame Fox. I hope, I want to go see him win because he's a top 20 player in the sport, and he deserves to get some recognition. He had a 60-point game this year in Minnesota, and then followed up with a 50-point game the next night. Did you hear one word about that? No,
Nope.
because nobody in the NBA knows the Sacramento Kings is this. We're the doormat. We're the teams that everybody wipes their feet on. And again, that's what they're always going to be. And I hate it, and I would love to see them win one day. But again, they never will. I'll be happy they make the playoffs the next 20 years. If they just make it once, I'll be happy, because that's what this organization is. It's a joke.
Yeah, and you said it all. Yeah, the organization's a joke. They should be giving Fox more input, and they're not. And I was defending Jimmy Butler. I'm definitely going to defend De'Aaron Fox. They should be giving him more input. I just don't understand why you would want to trade your best player, especially, and you're playing better now too. You played better under Doug Christie. I don't know why you want to trade your best player. I don't understand it. But the problem is this organization. It's tough to understand this organization. It really is. De'Aaron Fox. I mean, you saw him. He was really good in that playoff series against the Warriors. They lost in 7 games. All right, can you win? Could he be the best player on a championship team? Probably not. But if you added another star, if they actually got another star to Sacramento, which seems like it's impossible, he could be the second best player on a championship team. So I don't understand this. I don't understand this at all. I didn't like the Halliburton trade when they made it. I thought that they were better off with Halliburton and Fox on the same team. I know his bonus has been really good, but yeah, I just don't get where the direction of this organization wanting to trade their best player.
Yeah, I hate that it's going to happen, but the thing is he's going to walk away. He wants to go play for a winner. And I think he knows at this point he's not sticking around for another coaching hire. He's not sticking around for another retooling or rebuild, because when he walks out the door, Sabonis and DeRozan are going with him. Those two are kind of linked to him. And probably Monk too, because Monk's his best friend. Monk's probably out the door too. So you're headed for another total rebuild for the next 20 years, and we're about to be in basketball purgatory again. And, I think he likes Doug Christie, but I just think at this point, he just knows he's not going to ever have input. He just knows that this owner wants to win so badly, and he's so impatient, but he won't go over the luxury tax. He won't. And you're not winning a title in Sacramento if you're not going over the luxury tax. You're not. You're Sacramento. It's not an appealing place to come to. It's that's the thing. Like in this jam too, he only makes trade if he knows he's 100% going to win them. 2 years ago, by bouncing Game 7, they did nothing. They brought in the European MVP. They were, oh my God, you can't wait to watch this kid play. They traded Toronto for a bag of potato chips. I don't even know if he's on the Raptors anymore. It guy stunk. That was your big move 2 years ago, try to get over the hump. They've done nothing to try. The DeRozan thing's been nice, but they have no wing. They have one wing, Keegan Murray. They have not gotten another wing. It's ridiculous. This front office has no clue what they're doing. I'm sick and tired of it. And I like Doug Christie. I hope he does well. I hope he maybe gets this job. But this front office they're not going to help De'Aaron Fox out to try to win a championship. They're not. They're just not. Even though that owner says, I want to win a championship. Thank you for saving the team in Sacramento, or keeping in Sacramento, not making a move to Seattle. But sell the team, please. And look up the story of how his daughters run the G League team. No experience. She had to resign for a certain reason. If you're interested, you can go look it up. So it just I'm so sick and tired of it. I just am.
You gotta be. And now it looks like they're going to trade their best player next Thursday, and we'll definitely be talking more. We'll definitely be talking NBA trade deadline next Thursday after we preview the Super Bowl. But to wrap up, we got to talk about some college basketball. We're going to start with UConn, and UConn has been struggling. UConn, 6-3 in the Big East, but they've lost, three. They've lost 3 of their last 5 games, and they were not to the top 2 teams in the conference. Now I know Creighton's up there, but they were not to St. John's or Marquette. They still have 4 games with. They were to Xavier, they were to Villanova, and they were to Creighton, and the Creighton was at home, so they still got to go to Creighton. So this UConn team right now, Lenardi has them as an 8 seed. Just very the problem is there really isn't a guy. And then I know their best player, Liam McNeely, is out, but Liam McNeely is not he's a freshman. He's good, but he's not a great player. They just don't. The problem is they don't have a good point guard. They don't have a good big man, which they had probably one of the best point guards and one of the best big men in the country last year. It shows you the loss of Newton and Klingon, and it shows you this year is a bridge year. I just don't see it this year. I really don't. They played hard at Xavier. They fought until the end, but Xavier beat them. It's just good. I think they're going to be minimum. I don't think they're going to be better than 21-9. I don't think they're going to be better than 21. I think they're going to have at least 9 losses because I think they're definitely not beating St. John's both times. I think they lose the game in the Garden. I don't think they're beating Marquette both times. I think they lose the game this Saturday against them. We'll get to that game. I think they lose that game on Saturday, and I think they go to Creighton and lose. So I think right now I think this is they could be a 10-loss team. I think they're going to be at least a 9-loss team right now.
Yeah, right now, I know they lost Saturday. I'm not a big moral victory guy, but I thought they really showed a lot of fight, and I liked how they played, and they had a chance at the end there. You have one like I think Dorard's done a nice job at point. I know he's not a big scorer, but I do think he's done a nice job facilitating the offense. And McNeely's your second guy. Like I know Amon Newell, who I think is gonna have a very bright future here. He's still a true freshman on the road on a Saturday night, and he's out now and definitely with a sprained ankle. So hopefully you have McNeely back because now you have one ball handle on Saturday night against a Marquette team that's going to put a lot of pressure on you. So they really need McNeely back because they do need a second ball handle now. But I like the way they fought. I do think this team's getting better. I thought St. Johnson did have his best game probably in his UConn career on Saturday night. Terrace Reed's starting to really hit the wall, and you hope he can get it back going as we turn the calendar to February. I think this team's getting better. And when you add in McNeely, which is only got Caravan because that guy, he's going through it in the worst way right now. That you just kind of tell. And he hasn't really been used to losing. He really hasn't had to be the guy. And when you get McNeely back, at least McNeely's going to be the number one guy in the scouting reports. It won't be Caravan, and that should take some pressure off him. But yeah, it's a bridge year. Saturday night's gonna be difficult. Tonight, hopefully they get right game against DePaul, which the last 2 games that they're really, they're starting to get taken to the curb. But yeah, right now is I think if we're healthy in March, we start playing better. We're a very dangerous 8 seed. We haven't won one yet as an 8 seed, so you never know.
Yeah, you never know, but I don't know how dangerous they're going to be. I know it's early and you can't count them out because they're the last 2 national champs. But I think, as an 8 seed, it's going to be hard for them to get to the second weekend because I think it's going to be hard for them to beat a good SEC team, especially without really good point guard play and without really a consistent big. I know Johnson played better. I know you think Diarra is better than I do, but without that good of a point guard and without really good big man play, it's going to be hard. And you look at some of these games McNeely's been out. Some of the wins, they barely beat Providence. They're really down this year. They barely beat Butler. I know Butler's probably better than their record because their schedule's been brutal, but they're one of the worst teams in the Big East. So I look at this team. Even the wins have not been that impressive since. I know the Georgetown game was impressive, but Georgetown has been playing terribly. The last couple of weeks. So the wins haven't even been that impressive for them, even since McNeely's been out. Yeah,
no, they haven't, and that's kind of the thing. Butler had Marquette beat last night at home. Butler's been playing tough. They just have no idea how to close out games. Like they just can't close them out. Like their record should be better. Like they beat a good Mississippi State team early on in the year. I thought they were gonna be better. They just got to learn how to close out games. So, you saw last week at UConn, they had moments to win that game. So, yeah, Butler wasn't great. Georgetown's starting to fall off the map. Providence is starting to figure some things out. Last night they got out of Newark. They escaped Newark.
They escaped that one. Seton Hall's absolutely terrible this year.
Yeah, poor Shaheen. It sounds like there might be more money coming next year. I would hope.
Because I know someone from I was working with who he says Holloway safe.
Yeah, I would have to imagine because he's probably the best they're going to do, and I do think he's a solid coach. They're just, I heard 1 to 1.5 is all they had, and like Marquette, UConn, Creighton, I think are all 5 million plus. Like it's just, they're the Rays, they're the Oakland A's and Tampa Bay Rays trying to, punch their way up, which is tough. But I just think this UConn team, your schedule's it's going to get a lot difficult starting after tonight. But you get McNeely back, you get healthy. Like, I don't think the Big East's that good. Like, Marquette, I'm not impressed with them the last couple of weeks. St. John's, I still don't think much of them.
I'm not impressed with St. John's. I know they beat Georgetown last night. They can't hit 3. They can't hit a 3-point shot. St. John's can't hit a 3. I watched their game against Xavier. They can't hit a 3.
No. Last night they hit a couple right out of the gate, and they look good when they hit them. But, and Davion Smith, their probably the best shooter. He's been out the last couple of games too. So last night was impressive, but like, yeah, I don't think this is a great. Like, I don't think that's a Final Four team. I think maybe a second weekend, but a team like UConn who could shoot over the top of them, could knock down shots with McNeely, yeah, I think they could knock them off. And that game at the Garden's going to be a 50-50 crowd. So, I don't know if they'll sweep them, but they'll probably split. So I think when they get McNeely back, things will get better. But yeah, just again, I just want to see these sophomores get better, continue to get better because next year's class is loaded. Like they got 3 high school guys playing the McDonald All American game. I think the first time since 2000, right around 2000, I believe 2003, somewhere right in between there. They had 3. So, yeah. So for UConn, it just continue to get better. Hope this team kind of sticks together next year, and I think next year's gonna be loaded. I think this is just a year. Hey, last year was such a that's one of the best college basketball teams you'll see in our lifetime. So, this year we came back down to earth, and next year we should be back, in the top 5.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens going forward. We'll see what happens, but we'll see what happens when they get that far. But we'll get to some of their games this week. DePaul tonight, I think it's going to be a win. I think it's a get right game. I think they win this one by 15 to 20 points. I got them win this one pretty easily tonight. Even though they haven't been playing that well, I got them win this one pretty easily.
Yeah, DePaul hasn't been playing great lately. They're going to take a lot of threes, so it seems like there has not been much regression to UConn's 3-point defense this year. So maybe DePaul hit some shots. They keep it in early, but I think Hurley didn't say totally if he's going to play yet or McNeely's going to play tonight or not. I'm hoping he is, just to get, hopefully he plays like 15, 20 minutes. You blow him out and, you move on. But, yeah, I think tonight they should get it to XL Center. Hopefully it's a crowd tonight. And I do think they should win this game by at least like 10 to 12 points. Like, I think they should win this game comfortably tonight. If not, then I think there's some alarm bells ringing. But yeah, we'll see.
All right, so Saturday they go to Marquette, and I think this game. I think Marquette wins this one. At home, Cam Jones is the best. I don't want to hear about Eric Dixon. Cam Jones is the best player in the Big East. Cam Jones is definitely the best player in the Big East, in my opinion. I think he's the best player. I think Marquette is arguably the best team in the Big East. Even though you said it, they're not that impressive. Either the Big East isn't that good, but I think Marquette wins. I think it's gonna be a tough one for UConn. They've really struggled on the road in Big East play. I think it continues on Saturday night.
Yeah, I think Marquette's going to get this one. And the other thing, too, is Shaka, he's been looking for revenge for a while now, especially after the beatdown that UConn put him in at Hartford last year.
Yeah.
He's been waiting for this. Yeah. So this is going to be the loudest atmosphere of Saturday. Like, it's going to be louder than Duke. It'll be louder than Kentucky. Like, they're going to be
really wow.
Wow. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Wow. You think it's going to be louder than those games?
Yeah, I think Marquette's got one of the more underrated student sections and fan base in the country. So I think you're going to be walking into an absolute it's going to be a packed environment there. And thing with Marquette is they don't have much of a bench. Like if you can kind of slow down Cam Jones, Stevie Mitchell had a really good game last night. Like you didn't keep Stevie Mitchell kind of below like 10 points, you got a great shot. He's the one defensive player of the year, Mitchell. It's going to go to Kalkbrenner, which is a shame because that guy should not have 4 with Patrick Ewing, but he probably will. Mitchell's best defender in the conference. But Marquette really relies on Mitchell, Cam Jones, David Joplin, and then they get Chance Ross has kind of been very up and down, but like one of those guys are off. They are beatable. The other thing is too, as I kind of mentioned a few minutes ago, they need McNeely back for this one, definitely. Not because of scoring his defense, but because of ball handling. Marquette's going to put pressure on you, and they got to have more with Diarra. I know Mahaney's not a guy that usually turns it over, but I like him off the ball more than on the ball. So I think they lose. Ken Palm's got this Marquette 7-point spread. So I think they keep it close and they fight, but I do think Marquette gets it dub.
Yeah, Marquette should be favored. I think Marquette should definitely be favored because they got the best player in the league in Cam Jones, and that's why I think they win on Saturday night. Now, you talk about Duke and Kentucky's atmosphere. We got the Duke-Carolina game on Saturday night, but I think Cooper Flagg, to me, is the best player in the country. I think it's close between him, Sears, Broome. It's close, but I take Cooper Flagg over all of them. I know he hasn't played the best competition, and I know Duke is a little overrated, especially because they almost lost to NC State the other night. They almost lost to Notre Dame. I think Duke's a little overrated in the ACC. But I think Duke wins this game by 2 scores because Hubert Davis is Kevin Ollie 2.0.
Yeah, no, you said it. North Carolina on track to miss their third NCAA tournament in the last 6 years. So North Carolina's got a lot of answers to figure out. And there's not a North Carolina guy to take over, so it'll be interesting what they do this offseason. But KenPom got this thing a 16-point spread, which I can't believe in UNC North Carolina, but makes sense because North Carolina they're not big this year. Like they don't have a great big guy. I think they're missing a leader. Like I don't think RJ Davis is a great. I don't want to call him out, but like I don't think he's a great leader. I just don't. I don't think he's great in that role. And Duke's defense, like they just have so much length. And you mentioned the ACC. They're closer to the Mountain West than they are like the Big East and conference rating wise. Like it is a mid-major conference this year.
That's crazy.
It's bad. But Duke's zone, they'll play some zone, and that's kind of will confuse some teams a little bit. And Shire's done a good job with that. And they just have a ton of size and athleticism. Cooper Flags, you mentioned, unbelievable. If you can get them off and off shooting like they were Monday, they are beatable. But I do think Duke, probably wins this thing by double digits. Maybe RJ Davis goes off. Like I think he had 30 last year in Cameron. But like other than that, I just don't see Duke losing this game at home.
And then we got Cal's return to Lexington as Arkansas plays Kentucky, and I think Kentucky wins this game by double digits too. And then let me tell you this season's proving that Cal needed Kentucky more than Kentucky needed him. And it's been proven this year because Calipari has proven with his, one win in the SEC that yes, he's a good coach, that he is a great recruiter and a good coach. And I've been saying that for years, and it's proving it this year.
Cal's a major fraud. I've loved the demise here of the downfall of John Calipari this year, and Boogie Flan, they're one of the best freshmen. It's done for the year. General Davis, Florida Atlantic transfer, has kind of struggled this year. He hasn't really gotten it going. I think Arkansas will stay in this game because Kentucky can't guard anybody, and I do think they'll hang around here. But Lamont Butler's been banged up for Kentucky. Andrew Carr played like 2 minutes last night. Kentucky doesn't have a second ball handler, which maybe keeps Arkansas as well in this ball game. But again, it's a Arkansas team that, you're right. They take a bunch of mid-range jumpers. Cal is still living like it was 15 years ago, and that's Cal's problem. And I wonder, Tyson family's got to be regretting the all the money they gave him in NIL. So it's been ugly, and I hope Kentucky beats them. I will never root hard in my life for Kentucky on Saturday night. I hope they win by 30. I hope they bury Cal. Because Kentucky's a great job, but I think Greenberg tried to defend Calipari, like Kentucky's stop worrying about Arkansas or whatever. It's like this is why they wanted him out. He hasn't changed and he won't. So team that's not even make the NIT probably. So which is gonna be great television. They might not win another SEC game this year.
That's crazy. But that's going to wrap it up this week on Sports Talk with R&J. For Justin D'Onofrio, I'm Steve Risser. We will be back next week previewing Super Bowl 59, talking NBA trade deadline, and previewing UConn's matchup against St. John's at Gamble. Have a great weekend, everyone.
Hello, my name is Joe Aguirre. I'm the president of Clovercrest Media Group. And here at CMG, we have a wide variety of podcasts, including sports shows like Keys to the City, The Roll Call, Throwing Jabs, All Four Downs, and Jawing About the G-Men. And great true crime shows like Stinky Week, Crimes and Consequences, Ivy League Murders, and Bird, the unsolved murder of David Eichmann. You can find all these podcasts and so much more by visiting clovercrestmedia.com.